Good morning, all. CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Friday morning, July 31st. And we're looking at the last 6 days of the SPY, or 7 days of the SPY ETS market profile here on Window Trader. And last day of the trading month, a lot of huge earnings out last night. Tech stocks are up big. We are looking to gap higher. I put this whole thing in here because since last Thursday, we've had a really tough time just coming out of the lower distribution. Even yesterday, we traded a good part of the day inside where the single prints were. Well, this morning, for the first time, we're trying to get higher into the upper end of the distribution. So it's taken a full week to try to take back this day from the previous week. Now, do they have enough energy, the bulls, to get last week's high? To me, it's pretty important for a couple of reasons. First of all, the ES has a poor high, so that's something to shoot for. It's only $1.25 higher than where we're trading. It's important for a couple of reasons. If you don't get it, this becomes a monthly high, which makes it even that much harder to get into that huge gap above. Right? It brings the next time frame in, defending it. That's number one. Number two, we'd have an inside week, which would lead to probably some pretty good volatility, which I expected this week to happen next week, to see which way we come out of the inside week. Now, obviously, we have all day to trade. I'm looking for us to take out last week's high. I still have those calls and puts. I'm going to need some kind of a move to the upside if they're going to be worth anything by the end of this trading day. All right, let's go over destinations and a game plan. So right now on the upside, with a little over an hour to go, an hour and 10 minutes. I'm not going to use yesterday's high. We'll use that only on the downside. It was a poor high in SPY, and right now it's being taken out. But I will use 325.73. That's the 29th high. Then the 327.23 weekly high, and then fill in that huge gap at 332.58. It's still 535 points from February 24th. Above last week's high, I have my pre-market high of 327.43. For the downside, our first destination will be yesterday's high of 324.41. Then my pre-market low of 323.64. Then remember, we had a trend day yesterday. Right now is holding 323.11, gets filled to 322.97. Yesterday's low of 319.64 and last week's low of 319.25. And if we don't take out yesterday's low, that becomes a weekly low. And those are two weekly lows fairly close to each other. So at some point, if we ever come back into that balance, that will be a target on the bulls back. So game plan for this morning. Well, again, everybody's going to be screaming gap rules apply. And gap rules apply when they're put into context. On a gap of $1 or so, I don't mind buying it. In fact, I'd love to see us open below the 29th high on a gap, because that's something that you would think the bulls should easily shoot for. The higher we go, the less likely I will take a call play as we come to the weekly high, right? I would look for some sort of inventory adjustment, some kind of taper on volume on the downside to take a call play. If we get up to last week's high, I don't think I'll take a short either. Yes, the gap is huge above us, but we'll see how much they want to take into it. So I think right now, if we're to open above more than $1 from yesterday's high, I will be watching this opening to see if we get the inventory adjustment to go long, or to see if we fail at last week's high and taper off to take a short. Then you know you're out if we take out last week's high, even though there's the gap above us. I would be playing right now, today's expiration, I'd be playing 324 calls against yesterday's high. And if I take a put play, it'd probably around the round number of 330 or 329. That'll be decided as we get closer to the opening. Now, let's go to the charts. So last day of the month. Right now, the bulls are looking to close above last month's high. Very, very positive. One time framing up for 3 months after coming out of an inside month. So very, very healthy right now on the monthly. Weekly, same thing. As they attempt to take out last week's high, not have an inside week, and stay above the 8-week balance. They do, well, then they're going to start chipping away at that gap. Do they have the energy to fill that gap today? I'm going to say highly unlikely. It's just too big. You're going to need the next time frame in there to fill it like that on one day. I don't think that will happen today. Can they get into it? Certainly, but that remains to be seen also. And then on the daily, coming out of a 5-day balance, we'll get right now at the top of this balance, right? Still a balance. Even though we're gapping higher right now, we're still at the top of like a 12 or 13-day balance. We need to get above it and stay above it, which means staying above last week's high. That would be acceptance. If we just take out last week's high, eat a little bit of this gap, and then come back into this range, nothing's really changed. At least in the shorter daily time frame. Yes, you'll be one time framing up in the monthly and weekly, but in the short term, you'd still be in balance. We'll see how it plays out today. Come check us out at camelbacktrading.org. Have a great day, and we'll recap the day and the week at 4 p.m.